Oh my gosh. It doesn't even feel real right now, knowing that it's opening morning. It's been such a grind this summer, getting everything ready, that now that it's here, it's like my brain can't even process it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode here of this quest for a mudbrook buck. It's hard for me to look at the camera right now because it's so foggy out here. I'm sure there's a bit of a glare coming off this light I got on here. It's kind of overkill. But it's September 17th. She's a bit warmer than last year. I think last year it was like 40 degrees on opening morning. I went and sat at the bank. I saw that 8-pointer. I shot that 8-pointer, and that was a really cool experience. But this is a little bit different. I'm not complaining. I get to be in the woods. That's the biggest thing. In the sequence of events of my early season preparation, you're picking up basically where I left off. I left off at the end of episode 1, finishing hanging my stand back there. So we had that all set up, and here we are on our way out to that stand. Opening morning. I hope you all are getting out in the woods this morning. Even if it's a bit warm, it's still good just to get out. Challenge yourself to maybe find a spot where a buck might pass through, even if the weather's crap, even if it's warm, you know. All the things you have going against you early season sometimes. It's still worth it to experiment. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'd say I'm about 5 minutes out from the stand right now. That spot I showed you earlier this week is that nice little meadow there, in between some really good bedding. And so that's where I'm going to see if I can try to sneak into this morning. It's real wet and damp. It's like 66 degrees this morning. I'm just going to try to make my way quietly down that ridge, down that creek bottom, up the other side, and just kind of sneak into those pines and get nestled up in there. And if I see something, great. If I don't see something, it's not the end of the world. So pulling up to the spot here pretty soon. I'm going to see how efficiently I can get my gear all packed up and get myself in that stand nice and quietly. There's some deer. I don't know how well you can see me with this light kind of shining at the camera, but it was quite a process getting all my stuff on. I wanted to try to stay scent free, so I kept it all off of my body while I was in my car. So I quickly got it all on and sprayed down. Now I'm following my trail down this ridge out to my spot here. Guess I don't really have that much to say. I'm just super pumped to be out here. It's really wet. I want to try to make as little noise as possible, so I'm gonna get off the video filming here until I get like in the stand, because I really do want to just sneak out here. I think it's like 5:25 right now. This should be an awesome first hunt, even if I don't see anything. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it off here, really sneak out to my stand, and hopefully I can catch you at first light with the deer in front of me. Okay, I figured now would be a good time to do an interview, because you can probably hear all the dogs around me. I think my hunt is pretty much ruined for the morning. But at the same time, I'm on public land and I can't really do anything about it. These bear hunters aren't at fault. We all choose to hunt this land, so hopefully good for them if they get a bear. And I've had deer swing through here in the late morning too. So I'm not super worried about it. I'll probably sit till about 10 o'clock, but I don't really expect to see anything. It's mainly just nice to be able to get out here and enjoy the woods. That's all I really care about right now, so I'm gonna sit tight, hang out, and just enjoy it some more. It's 9:30 now. I just climbed down from the stand. It's getting pretty windy out here. Wasn't seeing any deer. Actually, it's probably the first time in my life that I've been happy to not see a deer. I was kind of bummed at first. Thought something was going to come through at first light. And then sat till 9:30 and I was kind of bummed because I didn't see any deer. But then I thought about it and I kind of started smiling and laughing because then I remembered that I still have a tag. Which way am I going here? So I was super stoked that I still have a tag because this time last year I didn't even have a tag anymore. Kind of nice to still be holding on to that after opening morning. But anyways, that's concluding the morning hunt. I'm gonna go back, get some food now. And then we got Kyle back in town, who was hunting with his homemade longbow this weekend, which is pretty sick. So anyways, he'll be hunting. Should be more of the guys out this afternoon, since it doesn't require anybody to get up early. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand for opening weekend right now. It's just good to be back in the woods. I hope you are all enjoying your time in the woods too. It just feels great to be back. Folks, I know I literally just told you that I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off at the last spot of the video. Like I just told you that like a few minutes ago. It's Wednesday now. Last time I had the camera recording, last time I was talking to the camera was on Saturday morning, opening morning, and things just got kind of crazy. I got back to the cabin, it got really freaking hot outside. I checked some trail cameras, it was like mid-70s outside. Then Lauren came up. We didn't want to travel too far on that opening night just because of the fact that it was so hot outside. So we ended up just going and sitting Lucky's Pine, which is a spot on the private land here, not too far away. We just got settled in there for the night. We watched a couple does feed out in front of us. That's basically all that happened when we were there, but it was nice to see some deer opening night. Despite the warm temperatures, we were kind of sweating our butts off and getting eaten alive by bugs. Yeah, what's another update on opening weekend? Probably the biggest one of them all. Kyle was back in town, like I said. Sorry if the audio is bad here. It's kind of hard. I'm sure it's hard to hear me from this wind, unless my mic is for some reason just a juggernaut. But anyways, Kyle was back with his longbow, his homemade longbow. He went and sat the shoot stand, which is a ladder stand that we have on the private land here, set up basically right on the edge of like a creek at the back corner of a field. And this field has a whole bunch of pines located in it, a bunch of, well, now big pine trees, so it's very secluded back there. Really nice green mowed area that we have, where the deer come up from the swamp, from the field, I guess further to the east of it. They come up from there and they feed. They just kind of make their way between fields and feed. It's really good early season. Sometimes it's a good spot for the bucks to cross during the rut too. But anyways, Kyle sat back there with his longbow on Sunday morning. Basically, I get this text from Kyle at like 9 in the morning, no, 8 something in the morning, saying that he hit one and he knew that I wanted to come track. So we came up, we went to go track this deer of his that he knew he hit further back a little bit. We had all the guys up here tracking it. We found a bunch of good blood. It was winding back and forth, crossing the creek back and forth. And then it started heading north to this big grassy field. We had some guys out on the road and some of us were down in the swamp by the creek tracking it. The guys out on the road said that they actually saw this deer walking through the grass, and this was like a couple hours after he had shot it. So we knew it was hurt because it hadn't gone far. It was bedded out in that field, but we spooked it. We pushed it further back into that field, so we just backed out for a couple hours. Came back a couple hours later, and she was really only like 20 or 30 yards from where we had bumped her the first time, and we bumped her again. We go back to the cabin, a few people leave, we go back out, and it's just Kyle, his dad, Lauren, my dad, myself,
We go out, we're finding blood pretty steadily through this grass. It's winding through this field, and then eventually on the north side of this field there's this tiny little patch of woods between this grassy field and the corn, and it's just a really small patch, but she was bedded in there, and we spooked her through the corn. So we kept tracking her blood because she was bleeding all over the place. So we knew she was going to die sooner or later, but we figured if we just kept pushing her that she would bleed a lot more, and we'd be able to catch up to her. Because if we just let her sit, it likely would then clot up. She would bleed less, but she'd still be fatally injured to where she would die within the next probably week. So we decided to keep pushing her, making her bleed by moving so much. And so we kept following her blood, following it down the edge of the corn into the woods until finally we caught up with her. And I actually was able to push her right to Kyle, where he then hit her again with his longbow, actually on the move, and then she ran just like 50-60 yards and went down right there. And that was the end of the story. It was like this multiple hour track job. It started at like 10 in the morning, and I bet you it ended at 4:30 in the afternoon. So it was this really long track job, but we felt so good about the effort that we put in getting back on this deer, ensuring that she suffers no longer. Of course, he would have liked to hit her better the first time, as we all do, but we made the most of the situation. We put our absolute best effort into tracking her. We got the job done so that she no longer suffered, and that despite the suffering that she did go through, which we felt terrible about, we were so grateful to be able to find her, to ensure that we put her out of the suffering, to respect the deer, and all the memories, food that they provide us with is something that we don't take for granted. So that's kind of the end of the weekend story. I'm sure after hearing that, you can kind of understand why I didn't have everything like a whole sequence of events. There was just so much stuff that happened. So here I am, Wednesday, the 21st of September. It's finally starting to cool down. It's finally starting to feel like fall a little bit. It's real breezy today. We got a super hard wind coming out of the northwest. And so I figured, what better time to go out to a spot, actually one that I talked about in the last video, that island that I talked about where Bryce and I went, also known to the Mudbrook guys as Logging Dam. That's where I'm going to be heading out today. My dad and I were out there a few weeks ago. We noticed that they were digging up the ground under some of those oaks, digging up some acorns, which really hints at it being a good early season spot. I've only been back there once ever during early season, last year with Lauren. We were on the ground, we had a bad wind. I think we got winded because these deer came up on the island and we heard them blow. They just took right off. We never really saw them, but they definitely winded us. I know it should be a decent early season spot. It just depends on if the deer are going to be moving through there tonight. Kind of just taking a chance here, but I'm super excited. I'm going to take the four-wheeler down to the boat landing, and then I got about a mile canoe ride where I'm just going to try to make my way up slowly up that creek, be real quiet. And then I got to walk through some tall grass, then through some swamp. I'm just going to try to sneak in through all that, being real quiet, as quiet as I can be, because I know there's sometimes a deer bedded in that area too on the outside of the island. So I'm going to try to creep in there, use the wind to my advantage so that the deer can't hear me, and take my time getting set up. It's only like 2 o'clock right now, so taking my time, going to get set up in the tree, get my camera set up, get everything ready so that I'm up there in plenty of time to just enjoy it for a couple hours and then hopefully see some deer. Made it out to LD successfully. It's gotten super crunchy in the past couple weeks here. Everything's dying off. It's beautiful in here. It's very open as it is. So if a deer does come by within shooting range, I should get a shot opportunity if it's big enough. I'm not rushing anything. I'm going to try to be pretty picky yet. But yeah, not much more to say. It is absolutely beautiful back here. Happy to be out enjoying the woods again. My heart's pounding just sitting here. Let's hope that we see something tonight. I'm back at the cabin now. I decided to get quietly out of there to not spook anything. Those deer eventually made their way off into the swamp where they couldn't see me, I couldn't see them. So then I snuck down in the stand, got out of there as quickly as I could, as quietly as I could. Didn't want to make too much noise making a video in there. I probably should have dressed just a little bit warmer because I was kind of chilly out there. But I'm not complaining. I like the cold weather. I like that it's going to get chilly this weekend. Hopefully it doesn't rain. But yeah, we saw 4 deer tonight. The first, I guess I'd call that the first actual sit because it was the first sit that actually felt like fall. 4 deer snuck in right before dark. My wind was actually blowing right at them. I thought I had a really good wind for where the deer would come from. Apparently I didn't. It was blowing right at them. They kind of picked up on something. Maybe with a buck I wouldn't get away with that. But I got away with it tonight. I think the next time I'll be up is this weekend with cans. So putting this video to an end right here. Thanks for watching episode 2. See you this weekend.